Genghis Khan, history's greatest conqueror, wasn't born a legend. He began as Temüjin, a boy abandoned on the Mongolian steppe, fighting for every meal and every sunrise. Before he united the world's largest land empire, he was just a child facing hunger, betrayal and loss. To understand the man who changed history, we must first meet the boy who survived against all odds. This is the story of Temüjin's childhood, the crucible that forged Genghis Khan. In the heart of the 12th century, amidst the sprawling and untamed landscapes of Mongolia, a child was born who would forever alter the course of history. This was no ordinary birth. It was the arrival of Temüjin, the future Genghis Khan. His birthplace was the vast Mongolian plains, a seemingly endless expanse of grass and sky, where nomadic tribes roamed freely, their lives dictated by the seasons and the rhythms of nature. This land, steeped in ancient traditions and fierce independence, would shape Temüjin's character and destiny. He entered the world in a humble gyr near Börte, a sacred mountain, around 1162. These gyrs, or yurts, were the traditional homes of the Mongols, portable and resilient, reflecting their nomadic lifestyle. His father, Yesugei, was a minor chieftain, a respected leader within his tribe, but not yet a figure of great power. Yesugei's leadership, though limited, instilled in Temüjin the values of courage, loyalty, and strategic thinking. And his mother, Holun, was a woman of remarkable resilience, a pillar of strength and wisdom who would play a crucial role in Temüjin's upbringing, especially after tragedy struck their family. Her unwavering spirit would be a guiding light for the young Temüjin. At birth, Temüjin clutched a blood clot in his fist, a dark, crimson omen that would be interpreted by the tribal elders. This was a sign, the Mongols believed, of a future destined for greatness, a prophecy foretelling a life of conquest and dominion. The shamans and wise men saw in this unusual occurrence a mark of destiny, a clear indication that Temüjin was meant for something extraordinary. Named after a defeated enemy, a rival chieftain whom Yesugei had vanquished in battle, Temüjin's very name spoke of conflict and power, a constant reminder of the struggles and triumphs that defined life on the steppe. It was a name that carried the weight of expectation and the promise of future victories. His early life was marked by prophecy and hope, a sense of anticipation that surrounded the young boy, as if the very land itself knew of his potential. The future seemed bright, filled with promise and the possibility of a glorious reign. But fate, as it often does, had other plans and would soon test him with tragedy, casting a dark shadow over his young life. The idyllic world of his childhood was about to be shattered, replaced by hardship and uncertainty. The promise of his birth would be shattered, the dreams of a peaceful future replaced by the harsh realities of survival in a world of warring tribes and unforgiving landscapes, forcing him to fight for survival, to learn the ways of the warrior, and to forge his own destiny in the crucible of adversity. The boy born with a blood clot in his fist would soon face trials that would test his strength, his courage, and his very will to live. At the tender age of 9, young Temüjin stood on the precipice of a life-altering tragedy. Unaware of the cruel fate that awaited him, he was a boy of promise, the son of a respected chief, destined for a life of leadership and prosperity. The vast, open steppe stretched before him, seemingly endless and full of potential, yet shadows were gathering on the horizon, portending a storm that would shatter his world. Suddenly, without warning, Temüjin's world collapsed, crumbling around him like an ancient structure succumbing to the relentless forces of nature. The stability and security he had always known vanished in an instant, replaced by a harsh and unforgiving reality. The storm clouds mirrored the turmoil brewing within his young heart, a tempest of grief, confusion and fear. His father, the leader of their tribe and a figure of immense strength and wisdom, was poisoned by rivals, a treacherous act that struck at the very heart of their community. The poison, a symbol of deceit and malice, snuffed out his life, leaving a void that could never be filled. The act was not just a murder, but a calculated strike against the entire family and their future. This left the family not only grief-stricken, but also leaderless and incredibly vulnerable, exposed to the dangers of the steppe and the machinations of their enemies. The camp, once a vibrant hub of activity and community, now echoed with the silence of mourning and the chilling premonition of abandonment. The loss of their leader was a devastating blow, leaving them adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The Temüjin clan, opportunistic and ruthless, saw this sudden weakness as an invitation to seize power and resources. They had long harbored resentment and envy towards Temujin's family, and now, with their leader gone, they saw their chance to strike. Their warriors, mounted on horseback, watched from a distance, their eyes filled with avarice and their hearts devoid of compassion. In a cruel act of betrayal, the Temüjin clan abandoned Temujin's family, severing the bonds of kinship and leaving them to fend for themselves in the unforgiving wilderness. They turned their backs on the grieving family, their footsteps echoing the finality of their decision. The family was left alone, isolated and vulnerable, facing an uncertain future with dwindling resources and fading hope. They didn't just abandon them, they actively sought to destroy them, stealing their herds, the lifeblood of their nomadic existence, and casting them out from their ancestral lands. The horses, symbols of wealth and power, were driven away, leaving the family destitute. The act of expulsion was a final, brutal statement, condemning them to a life of hardship and uncertainty. Suddenly, Temüjin, once the son of a respected chief, a boy destined for greatness, found himself stripped of his inheritance and his status. He was no longer the privileged heir, but a vulnerable orphan, struggling to survive. The weight of his father's legacy now felt like a crushing burden, a constant reminder of what he had lost. He became an outcast, a pariah, with nothing but the clothes on his back and the unwavering support of his immediate family. The vast steppe, once a symbol of opportunity, now seemed like an endless expanse of desolation. He walked with empty hands, but his heart was filled with a burning desire to survive and reclaim what had been stolen from him. Survival on the harsh Mongolian steppe without the protection and resources of a tribe was nearly impossible, a daunting challenge that would test the limits of their endurance. The winters were brutal, the summers scorching, and the constant threat of starvation and attack loomed large. The desolate landscape offered little comfort or sustenance, a stark reminder of their precarious situation. This devastating betrayal, this cruel abandonment, was Temujin's first and most profound lesson in the brutal realities of life. It was a harsh awakening, a baptism by fire that would forge his character and shape his destiny. He learned that trust was a precious commodity, easily broken and rarely regained. He learned a painful lesson in the harsh realities of power and loyalty, discovering that alliances could be fleeting and that even those closest to you could turn against you in the pursuit of their own ambitions. The broken tribal bonds served as a stark reminder of the fragility of human relationships and the ever-present struggle for dominance. Stripped of their security, their possessions, and their social standing, they were left exposed and vulnerable to the elements and the whims of fate. They had no shelter, no resources, and no one to turn to for help. The wilderness became their classroom and survival their only objective. He faced the vast, unforgiving wilderness with only his immediate family by his side and an unyielding will to endure, to overcome the odds, and to reclaim his birthright. The small family group, a beacon of hope in the desolate landscape, walked with determination, their eyes fixed on the horizon, their hearts filled with a burning desire to survive. The profound pain of loss and the sting of betrayal would forever shape his understanding of human nature and the complexities of leadership. The sorrow etched on his young face reflected the weight of his experiences, the burden of responsibility he now carried on his shoulders. It would forge his character, temper his resolve, and ultimately define his approach to leadership, instilling in him a deep understanding of the importance of loyalty, justice, and unwavering determination. He would learn to lead with strength, compassion, and a fierce protectiveness of those under his care. Temujin's extraordinary journey from a vulnerable outcast to the most powerful conqueror the world had ever known began in this crucible of hardship, in the depths of despair and betrayal. His rise to power would be a testament to his resilience, his intelligence, and his unwavering commitment to his goals. It was in this crucible of hardship, amidst the flames of adversity, that the steel of his character was forged, transforming him into the legendary figure who would one day unite the Mongol tribes and conquer vast empires. The harsh steppe, with its unforgiving landscape and brutal challenges, became the forge where Temüjin was tempered, shaped, and ultimately transformed into Genghis Khan. Hölen, Temüjin's mother, a woman of extraordinary strength and resilience, faced unimaginable hardship after her husband's untimely death. Abandoned by their tribe, she was left to raise her children alone on the harsh Mongolian steppe. In the face of adversity, Hölen became the family's anchor, a beacon of hope and stability in a world that seemed determined to break them. She shouldered the responsibilities of both mother and father, providing not only for their physical needs, but also nurturing their spirits. She understood that survival in their unforgiving environment demanded practical skills, so she taught her children to survive, passing down the knowledge and techniques necessary to thrive in the wilderness. This included the essential skills of foraging, like digging roots from the earth, a painstaking task that provided sustenance when other food sources were scarce. She showed them which plants were safe to eat and which to avoid, a crucial lesson in a land where poisonous flora could be deadly. Fishing became another vital skill, teaching them patience and resourcefulness as they learned to coax fish from the rivers and streams using handmade tools and traditional methods. And hunting small game, requiring stealth, precision, and a deep understanding of animal behavior, became a necessary part of their lives. Hölen instilled in her children a respect for the animals they hunted, emphasizing the importance of taking only what they needed. But beyond these practical skills, her greatest lesson was unity, the understanding that their strength lay in their bond as a family. She used the analogy of arrows to illustrate this point. A single arrow breaks easily under pressure, but a bundle of arrows bound together is unbreakable, representing the power of collective strength and unwavering support. Hölen's wisdom went beyond mere survival tactics. She possessed a deep understanding of human nature and the qualities that make a true leader. She taught Temüjin, in particular, to observe the world around him with keen eyes, to pay attention to the subtle details that others might miss. She emphasized the importance of being able to accurately judge character, to discern the true intentions of others, a skill that would prove invaluable in his future dealings with allies and enemies alike. And above all, she instilled in him the importance of valuing loyalty above all other traits, emphasizing that true loyalty is a rare and precious commodity that should be cherished and rewarded. These years of poverty, though difficult, were formative, shaping Temüjin's character and instilling in him a deep understanding of hardship and resilience. Living on the fringes of society, experiencing the sting of abandonment and the constant struggle for survival, forged Temüjin's empathy for the outcast, the marginalized and the vulnerable. He learned firsthand the importance of community and the strength that can be found in family, not just by blood, but by shared experience and mutual support. This fostered his belief in the strength of family, a concept that would extend far beyond his immediate relatives. Hölen's teachings, her unwavering strength and her profound wisdom became the bedrock, the very foundation upon which Temüjin would build his future leadership. Through her example and her guidance, Temüjin learned that true power doesn't come from brute force or domination, but from resilience in the face of adversity and the ability to inspire unity among diverse peoples. The hard-won lessons learned in the harsh environment of the wild, the values instilled by a mother's unwavering love and wisdom, would one day shape not just a man, but an empire that would stretch across continents. Scarcity bred conflict within Temüjin's family, especially with his older half-brother Börte. Börte's selfishness threatened the fragile unity Hölen had built. In a desperate act, Temüjin and his brother Kasar killed Börte, ending the rivalry but leaving a scar on Temüjin's soul. Hölen's heartbreak was profound. Her sons had destroyed their own family. This tragedy taught Temüjin the heavy cost of violence and the dangers of division. He learned that leadership sometimes demanded ruthless choices, but at a terrible price. The lesson haunted him, fueling his later quest for order and unity. The Taïchud, fearing Temüjin's potential, captured him and locked him in a wooden collar, a symbol of humiliation. Even as a prisoner, Temüjin watched, learned and waited for his chance. During a festival he escaped, aided by Sorkin Shira, a compassionate enemy who risked everything to help him. This daring escape became legend, proving Temüjin's courage and resourcefulness. He learned that even among enemies there could be unexpected allies. Acts of mercy could forge powerful bonds. Temüjin's escape marked him as a leader who could not be broken. After his escape, Temüjin's family lost their last horses to thieves. While tracking them, he met Börte, a young man who, without hesitation, offered help and friendship. Together they recovered the stolen horses, Börte refusing any reward. This act of loyalty became the foundation of a lifelong bond. Börte would become Temüjin's first and most trusted general. Temüjin learned that true strength came from loyal companions, not just from force. Temüjin honored his father's promise and married Börte, forging a crucial alliance with the Ongirat tribe. Börte became his partner and advisor, restoring his status and security. Temüjin then gifted a sable coat to Togrul Khan, his father's old ally, gaining a powerful protector. These alliances transformed Temüjin from an outcast into a rising force. He understood that unity and loyalty, not just warfare, built power. By weaving together friendships and old loyalties, he laid the groundwork for uniting the Mongol tribes. These first steps would lead to the birth of an empire. Temüjin's childhood was a relentless trial. Loss, betrayal, hunger and violence. Each hardship became a lesson. Empathy from poverty, loyalty from betrayal, courage from escape. He learned that true leadership is forged in adversity, not inherited. The bonds he built with family, friends and allies became the pillars of his future empire. Temüjin's rise reminds us that challenges are opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. He united the Mongols not by birthright, but by resilience, vision and the lessons of his youth. The boy who survived the steppe became Genghis Khan, the leader who would change the world.